Hey, Karen, what's up?
Hello, darling.
How are you doing?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. I love the head wrap and the earrings. You're looking fabulous. And the lipstick. You know,
Oh,
take a little
talk
lipstick
that
next time.
talk. Thank you.
And that folks should know that you're like this amazing metalsmith that has like your artistry in the background. That's where you do all the magic that you do. So I
Maybe
think
I should have on better earrings then.
check out Karen. I'm just saying, Karen Smith, metalsmith, and amazing project in the car. We wield the hammer. I could go on to say that you are trying to pioneer something really amazing for young women. And I look forward to a future conversation with you because I think there's so much that we decide is off limits to us until
Mhm.
someone breaks ground and shows us what's possible. And I feel like you're breaking ground. Just saying, just saying. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. So the reason why we're gathered here, and I'm so grateful that you wanted to talk about this with me, but the reason to talk about our first episode of The Souls of Women, which was with Aina-Nia, and it was a 5-part conversation. And for
Mhm.
me, having recorded it 4 years ago, it's almost like returning to something where you're like, oh, I did this 4 years ago, and I'm seeing all these gems in it,
Mhm.
learning so much from the conversation again. And so I wanted to just go through it because I think that when you post something on YouTube, it's really cool. And you have these 5 episodes, but in my mind, it'd be nice. Why I wanted to do this is to bring it all together, and
Mhm.
it'll be there. So if folks like decide, oh, let me go check that out, they can jump into one of the parts of the 5-part series.
Mhm.
Um, but I want to start with the fact that I think for me personally, and I wanted your impression, Aina-Nia took us through a healing process. Like
Absolutely.
I was like, oh snap. When I watched it, I was like, she started at this place of real rage, this place that just wanted to make sure this person was absolutely dead and buried. And then she went into this place of numbness, it felt like, where she was like, I just can't deal. I just
Mhm.
can't deal. And I just
Mhm.
won't deal.
Mhm.
And then life
Yep.
happened. So that was my impression. What was your impression of?
Absolutely the same. And in fact, I was right there with her like this because I had a similar experience. And one of the things that I really loved about her is that she talked about it with like some perspective. You know what I mean? Like she wasn't just telling a story. She, like you said, she like really took us through the journey and how you go from um, a challenge to a healing space. I thought it was amazing. I
Yeah,
fell in love with her.
right? Me too. When I met her, I was like, oh, this woman is, and I want to sit at her feet.
That's exactly what I thought. I was like, I just want to sit there. Like, she should have an institute. Like, no shade to Ayanla, but I was like, she should have an institute. I would totally go and sit at her feet
oh,
because she like her wisdom and her offering felt so authentic.
and she does have Sacred Women International, and she does do like a whole leadership institute. She's fabulous. I mean, and like she's taken the work and like really, wanted to extend it beyond herself. So
Mm-hmm.
she does that in Toronto. And actually, when I first met her, I was like, "Can I sign up?" But I think I'd have to spend some time in Toronto, so I'd have to figure that out.
I'm not mad. I love Canada.
Right? I don't think I've ever been. Anyway, but the thing that comes up for me is I think most of us who've been on the planet long enough have had that deep seething, like angry experience or that really like numb experience. And I have shared with folks who know me, but also in some of my workshops that, I spent like, I feel like 10 years just numb, just
Mm-hmm.
checked out, just moving through. I mean, the people who saw me would think, oh, she's fine because just doing the daily thing that you're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
I had kids to take care of. I had a lot going on, but feeling like sitting with what I was feeling Yeah,
Mhm.
I wasn't doing that.
Right.
And I mean, what you said is that Aina-Nia resonated with you because you've had similar experiences. Have you had that anger, that numbness, that feeling? Have you
I
experienced it?
have, and I would say that Buddhism saved my life, literally and figuratively. But yeah, I've had that. And I had it for so long that I didn't even recognize what it was. And it wasn't until I went to an intensive retreat, a 30-day retreat actually, that I was able to sit quietly for extended periods. And that's when I realized like the rage that I felt and how, but for me, I really realized that the rage was covering um, sadness, like an ocean of grief. And that's how grief shows up for me. Like I now can recognize that grief shows up for me in anger and ways like that. So yeah, I totally, totally could relate.
Yeah, and it's funny that you mentioned the piece about getting still,
Uh-huh.
because in part 4 she talks about investing the time to heal, right?
Right.
And I think people are gonna think, oh, that means you have to go to like somewhere like Inner Visions, you have to like take a lot of money, and you have to like do all this thing. And I want to make clear in this recap conversation that that's not at all what you have to do. I mean, you don't have to
Not at all.
spend a
It
lot.
doesn't cost anything.
It
Um,
doesn't cost anything. It's an investment in you. It might
mhm.
take you some time. So like
Mhm.
maybe 10 minutes of meditation a day, right? And
Right.
just
Mhm. Well, I mean, and that's what's so wonderful for me, Damali, about this series and why I have so much gratitude to you for doing this because it doesn't cost anything. Like I came to Buddhism because someone said to me, "Oh, there's this one day silent retreat at my meditation center, and I think you should go." And I was like, you know, And I really liked her, and she insisted, and I went. And it was a 1 day silent retreat, and it was led by two people of color, which was good because generally I'm like, I would rather get spirit practice from people who look like me.
Mhm.
So that was a really good thing for me. I didn't know that it wasn't a usual thing, but spirit moves us where we need to go. And the meditation retreat, it was just 1 day, 8 hours of silence, followed by a dharma talk where they just and dharma talks are just wisdom talks.
Mhm.
And I literally felt everything in my life shift at that point. I remember I left and I went to the ocean, and I just sat with the things that were coming up for me because I started to realize that I always had so much noise in my life. Like the TV was always on, or I always had music playing, or I was always talking, or something. And having all that noise was a way to shield
Mm.
me from the work, you know, from the pain, because when you get quiet, you can feel and hear and see what's actually going on for you.
Mhm.
And like, so having that constant noise is a way to keep you in the same space. And that 1 day retreat turned my life around. I've been a Buddhist for 20 years now.
Oh.
And when things are going, bananas as they do with being a human being, um, if I can get quiet, I can feel exactly what's going on. And then I can engage it, you know? She's dead on about that. And you are. You don't need a lot of money. If you have a lot of money, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm a working artist. I don't have a lot of money.
And the
And
thing,
I'm really happy that I had the opportunity to learn this.
yeah, and the thing is, right, is I wanted to I wanted to touch on that and make that clear because I think we're all in different places financially, right? It's like
Right?
we're all in the different places, but one thing is we're connected in my mind through a lot of our human experiences and a lot of the traumas. If you live long enough, there are things that are going to happen in your life, and I just wanted to send a message that all of us have access to the stillness, to the quiet, to the listening to ourselves. You know, I often credit Heart and Soul Center of Light in the Bay Area because the message is there. It's almost like the wisdom teachings you're talking about, the Dharma talks. I mean, I feel like every Sunday I'm there, it's like a message, it's some wisdom teaching that really helps me.
Mm-hmm.
But also East Bay Meditation Center was a place that when about 3 years ago, I was really feeling broken down. You know, I walked in and got still and benefited. I spent a year as in a cohort of mindfulness practitioners there. And so I credit these places. And honestly, both of those places, you go absolutely free most of the time. You know, you give a love offering if you want, but to me, I want people to be left with knowing there is a way. If
Mm-hmm.
you're ready to look at something hard and move through it, whether it's in the silence of your home, whether it's in a center, whether it's at a meditation retreat, whether it's a huge investment that you make financially, there are ways. And that I wanted to just leave people with that because, as you know, Karen, healing is an ongoing journey. It feels
as long as you're living.
Wow. It feels to me like as long as we're breathing, we're gonna be working on something.
Absolutely.
And you know, every once in a while I'll be like, oh, I'm done. No.
Wait, do you really?
Like, yeah, every once in a while I'm like, oh, you know, I got to this thing, I'm cool. And then I'm like, no. Actually, something else is gonna come because that's life, you know. And so that's why I was so grateful when our fifth conversation closed and the completion of the episode was around compassion. And for me, it was funny because I wrote a quote of what she said. She said, we talked about compassion, but she says, we're talking about women and we're talking about experiences. And, I was thinking about addiction, promiscuity, different things that show up when we're in pain.
Right.
And she said, Aina-Nia said, that's not who she is. So we were talking specifically about certain things that show up and look really harmful and look really painful. And she said, that's not who she is. And I just had a moment going into my own journey. And I was like, breathe. None of these things that came forth when you were in pain are who you are. And it was like letting myself off the hook again. Mm-hmm. And so I was so grateful to just hear that, to be reminded. And Aina said also, we are the same. I am not my sister's keeper. I am my sister. And again, there I could feel the connection that we all have and the fact that we are more the same. Mm-hmm. We are more connected than we are different. And that's
absolutely are.
Yeah, that's one of the things I feel called in my life to continue to just say and just to demonstrate. So what was your feeling on the compassion?
Well, I grew up in Pentecostal church. And the thing that I liked about Pentecostal church was call and response. And so even though I'm not a Christian anymore, it's been a long time, often I'll hear something and I'll be like, yes, amen, And I literally did that when she was talking about it. And most especially when she was talking about self-compassion, because I am a witness that women have oceans of compassion, and they are always often showing it to other people. But until we start with ourselves, like, we really can't begin the process of healing. And so when she was talking about compassion, which is a thing that I think about all the time, and I find waning for me currently, like with the state of the world and the country and the city that I live in and all of that, like, excuse me, I just really, really appreciated that reminder that self-compassion really is where the healing starts. So yeah, I was in here amening and hallelujah all over the place. It was amazing, amazing Dharma for me. Yeah.
I love that. Self-compassion is where the healing starts. And, I don't want to get too sidetracked, but, I think about sometimes even the violence in our communities. I was saying to my children when Nipsey Hussle was killed, I was like, I feel like if the young man who killed him had self-compassion, had compassion for him, like we would be in a different place. And I
Mm-hmm.
just feel that so strongly that, this is not only about women for me. You know,
No.
I talk about women because I'm a woman and I feel like all my work starts with me. Like everything that I need to be in the world and everything I want to see different in the world starts with me. So it's a place to start. But I'm a mother. So many of us are aunts and we're connected to men. We're connected to men, right?
Mhm.
So that particular death recently really touched me in a place thinking about him as a father, thinking about me as a mother, just thinking about the connection, right? And I
Mhm.
thought, man, compassion would be like the savior in moments like that. If
Mm.
I could just see this other person, not through anger and through ego and through whatever this thing that happened, but I could see him as another person and he could see me, we would shift a lot. And so
Which-
we would shift. And
yeah.
so there's a part of me just feels that this work is so huge and there's so much more to go and so much more to do. And so I'm grateful to Aina-Nia Ayo'dele who took the time to sit with me and share such wisdom and touch so many lives in the process. And I am grateful to you, Karen, today for sitting with me. And I just want to share that we have another great episode coming up with Dr. Chan. And
Yeah.
Dr. Chan is one of those conscious thinkers and she has this amazing platform around kind of elevating the way we think about ourselves and our lives. And so that conversation will be probably a longer more parts because there are just so many tools that she provided. So I'm
Mhm.
looking forward to continuing the conversation and growing in our self-awareness and growing in our healing. So
I am too. But I want to also say that I'm really grateful to you, Damali, for even beginning this project and certainly for making it such an extraordinary healing and making it available on YouTube, free of charge, people, so that we can get the benefit of all this extraordinary sister wisdom. I feel so much gratitude to you because this is the journey that you're on and you are making it possible for us to start the process or continue the process. So thank you.
thank you, Karen. And I think I've learned a lot about community, and you are definitely a part of my community, and of the folks that I feel really see me. And so I'm really thankful for that. And so, I just feel like the souls of women is far reaching and has so many possibilities. And I celebrate myself and the folks around me, Sankofa, Aina-Nia, Dr. Chan, Cherry Natural, all those people who believed at the beginning and
Mm-hmm.
who joined me on the journey early out. But I look forward to continuing the journey because really, for me, it is about highlighting the resilience and our healing power and our own kind of closeness to spirit and God, our oneness with everything on the planet that makes us such beautiful souls. And so I'm just grateful for the project.
Absolutely.
All righty.
Absolutely.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right.
I'm looking forward to next week.
Yeah. All right. Bye.
Bye.